This presentation is about how we can apply Agile approach to education. Agile approach is commonly used in software development industry, but there are so many aspects that we could apply to education setting to make the process more efficient. Agile process is a flexible and adaptable approach to add values to project with evolving requirement and solution. So there's a continuous change with this evolving requirement and solution depending on the projects. An Agile approach enables organizations to master continuous change. The process itself can be incremental and iterative, which means it's delivered in pieces, making it more flexible to welcome feedback and requests that may evolve. Lastly, it emphasizes on cross-functional teams, which capitalize on staff talent and maximizing their potential. Taking Agile approach to education raises three questions. How do we create workplaces that capitalize on talents of those doing the work? Number two, what if those talents were totally focused on delivering value to the customer and stakeholders for whom the work is being done? Number three, how do we incorporate Agile approach with existing goals, principles, and values so that we have already established culture that we still want to respect, but how do we incorporate the Agile approach to maximize the outcome? Main two distinctive types of project is predictive versus adaptive. Predictive project can be something that focuses on analyzing and planning the future in detail with known risks. So often this has an annual cycle or biannual cycle, such as textbook adoption process or planning a new course. There's a set process that you have to go through. Another example is end of the year showcase that may be happening annually to highlight student work. So you already know what's about to happen and you know the known risks. You can plan ahead with details. Adaptive projects are something that focuses on adapting quickly to changing realities. When the needs of the project changes, you need to be able to adapt to the change very quickly. Some of the examples can include innovative initiatives, various unexpected or emergency situations. So this requires a lot of flexibility and adaptability because there's a lot of unknown realities that you may be faced with. When you apply Agile methodology to education settings, sometimes it works best when you incorporate it into existing models that you're already using. So one of the approach that we take is we incorporate into logic model or 5Ws. It helps us establish goals with time-dependent outcomes and indicators that are clear. And by defining what the project is, where it's going to happen, when and how and why, thinking about those terms helps us have a clear outcome and indicators. And also it is important that we approach Agile methodology with continuous feedback, which is a highlighted feature in Agile approach, and adapt while we stay focused. And the process itself, in order to add value, really is very similar to scientific process where you plan, design, and then develop, and then you test it to see what works and not work, and then release it, and then get feedback. It is really important to get the early feedback to improve upon, and then you plan again and repeat that process. Another tool that helps you stay focused with the Agile approach is combining with the Moscow model. Defining our must-haves, which is non-negotiable items that's essential for the project, and then should have categories that are important to the project, but they're not vital. If left out, the project still can function. However, if they are included, they add significant values. It's important to approach should have categories once you finish meeting all the must-haves. And then the could have categories include items that are not necessary to the core function of the project. Compared with should have initiatives, they have much smaller impact on the outcome if they're left out. Wish list or will not have categories are not going to be a priority for the specific time frame, and some of them will get prioritized in the future, while others are not likely to happen at all. To develop well-functioning cross-functional dependencies, it is important to establish clear expectations involving multiple different stakeholders and teams. So some people may be responsible, some people may be accountable, some people may be consulted, and others may be informed. So establishing that criteria and how you involve different participants with a clear expectation is very important in increasing its efficiencies in the projects. One of the ways to organize big project into smaller tangible goals is using sprint goals. So once you have sprint goal, which is a breakdown of high-level summary, it is important that you organize it into different themes, and then within that you create burn down charts. A sample project process from start to adaptive and continuous phase include, you may start out with establishing clear goals with the stakeholder input, and then you use Moscow model to establish must-haves. You use logic model and 5W to design time-dependent outcomes indicators that are very clear. And then you establish cross-functional teams and dependencies and clearly spell that out and communicate. Once that's accomplished, it is important that you have a clearly defined sprint goals that's manageable and tangible. And then you can create prototype or report out your outcomes with indicators while you get more continuous feedback. So key takeaway from this Agile approach to education is that we value cross-functional dependencies, having a clear outcome that focuses on must-haves, being realistic and adapting to this realistic approach. Sometimes we can be ambitious, but we need to be ambitious with a realistic approach and look at the time frame that we were given, the due dates, and given circumstances. And clearly establishing sprint goals so that the project doesn't look so overwhelming and it's flexible. So many organizations have a lot of people that's sprinting, working really hard, very busy. But what's really difficult is having alignment with all these sprints that are going on. And that comes with clear communication and effort to intentionally design cross-functional dependencies so we're all aligned with a clear vision and clear communication channel.